Hello and welcome. This is Bob Maslin, aka Blade, on the HomeSeer message board. And today I wanted to go through just some little bit of BLRadar for those that don't know. So we'll go to the main page. Basically lists your sensor. I don't have any sensors configured right now. So if we click on Add New Sensor, basically this drop down gives you a list of all the items or all the devices that are configured in HomeSeer. So if we just pick one, anything, I'm just going to pick this one here for now. What this does is allows you to pick the type that you want to make this device: motion sensor, dusk dawn sensor, or an active zone. An active zone is basically an occupancy in your house, so you could assign multiple motion sensors to the active zone. With the motion sensor, you can set up the sensory recovery time. With the X10 motion sensors, sometimes the off signal is missed. So what this does is this basically says after, say, 5 minutes, the sensor will go off if there's been no motion. Dead battery time, how many hours that it's received no signal, does the plug-in consider the sensor to be dead. Motion sensor off wait time, that is only for an active zone. What that does is basically all motion sensors assigned to the active zone must be off for X number of minutes in order for the active zone to be turned off. If any of the sensors attached to it go on, then the active zone goes on immediately. You can disable any of the sensors by clicking this button. You can even reverse the processing. So an off would be an on, and an on would be an off. You can even disable, you can turn off and on whether or not the motion sensors will respond to off signals. For motion sensors and dusk dawn sensors, and active zones, you can set up a virtual device code. So this is another device that you must create on your own in HomeSeer. That any device string updates and value changes will take effect on this virtual device instead of the originating device that you select up here. Let's see, battery last changed. You can put in a date there of when the battery was last changed so you can keep track. Cannot retrigger on-off processing for X number of seconds. You can put in the number of seconds here, and it won't re-trigger on or off processing for that number of seconds. Let's see here. These devices, the images down below can be basically set up however you want. This is the string that will appear for the device, and this is the image that will appear. And you can even specify a style, color of red, for example, if you wanted, or blue, or whatever color you want. Let me just change this to motion sensor. Okay, so some sensors, like RFX-COM sensors, are value triggered. So this is where you can specify the value that will trigger it. So you would have to check this. You can even say, equal, greater than equal, greater than, less than equal, or less than, whatever number you want to put in here for the on or off value. This section down here basically happens every time the motion sensor goes on. So you can have a wave sound to execute. You must put in the full path to the wave sound. I don't have too many events in there now that are assigned to the BLRadar group, but any events you put in there when assigned the BLRadar group will show here, and you can execute for any sensor in the plugin. Number of minutes. The sensor must be off before retrigger. You can put in the number of minutes here. Same thing for this side. This one here affects the wave file here, and this one here has to do with the event. This section down here happens when the sensor goes off. Again, you can pick an event that has the group of BLRadar. It will only pull those ones in. And once again, you can also select a wave file that you want to use as well. When you're setting up a motion sensor, over here, I don't have any listed, but over here we'll list all the active zones, and you can just put a check mark beside the ones that you want to assign this sensor to. So if you assign this sensor to 2 active zones over here, they'll become part of that occupancy or active zone. Same with dusk dawn sensors. You can assign those to an active zone as well. And active zones you can assign to in the reverse. You can assign motion or dusk dawn sensors to the active zone. I think that's pretty much everything on this page. Let's move on to movement. Here you can specify a from and to device from the plugin. I don't have any set up, so it isn't showing any. But basically, it's a drop down of all the sensors that you have that assigned in the plugin. So you pick a from and a to device, and this virtual device is another device that you create in HomeSeer. You have to create ahead of time. You'd put the device code in here, and you could even set up an on or an off style as well for this device, for this virtual device. So when there's movement between the from and to, this device will go on, and when there's no movement between, when the movement's done, this will turn off. So it's just a way for you to track movement around your house. Let's go into the options. Debug logging. This is a if you're having issues, this is an important one to check. From my help desk tickets, I always ask for debug logs because it makes it easier to find the issue. This one here, you can basically turn off including time information in the sensor device strings. This will turn that off. I like to see that. Same with in turning them off in the active zone strings. You can turn them off and on. Both, you have full control over that. The time information text that appears in those strings, you can control that here by using these codes here, if you will. You can even include leading zeros, or not include them. You can enable HomeSeer log messages, so it just any log messages that the plugin puts out in the HomeSeer log. Some people don't want it, so I added it in to remove those, so you can turn it off and on here. Suppress the database compact and purge log messages. That was also requested, so it is now an option. Database logging, whether or not it logs to the Access database, and the number of days that it will keep all those motion logs. The speaking, you can speak start and end time for motion sensor on. So these are the start and end times for when the motion sensor on sound wave files that you can configure when you're adding a sensor. This is the time in between these two times is when they will speak. If you don't set anything here, then it will just speak all the time. Some people want to shut that off after they go to bed. Use device names for movement. So instead of using the device codes, it will use the device names for that one. Number of seconds between sensor activity to trigger movement, 30 seconds. So this is the range of number of seconds that the movement sensors must be apart in order to trigger movement. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Remove headers and footers from reports. That'll just remove these HomeSeer headers and footers from reports in case you want to put the report inside of HS Touch or another touchscreen interface. You can even remove buttons from the reports. So this will remove all buttons from any reports in the plugin, so that just the report itself shows. So show the device code when adding sensors. This will show the device code in the drop-down list of sensors. If you don't have this checked, you'll just see the name of the device when you're adding the sensors. Now the enable user-defined motion code scripting. This is the real power of BLRadar. It's what I use all the time. I would be lost without it. I think a lot of people use this feature. This enables you to basically set up motion code, scripting code, VB.NET code for the on and off of all sensors that you configure in the plugin. So I'll give you an example of that. So if we add this sensor, I'm just going to add a sensor just for fun. That's good. Okay, so we added this sensor in here. When you add a sensor on the main screen, you'll see UDMC, which is your user-defined motion code. If you click on that, it'll bring up a box for your on and off, and you can basically type any kind of scripting you want in here, VB.NET scripting. If you wanted to just put a message out to the HomeSeer log, you can do that just by saying this is a test. So if you save that, whenever this motion code, whenever this sensor goes on, this will display this is a test in the HomeSeer log. Just something simple. It gives you a lot of control over what happens when your sensors go on. You don't just have to basically run an event. You can run customized script that you have written. That's I think that's pretty much it. There's a couple reports here. There's a sensor activity log, which will basically show you all the log activity for all sensors, whether they went on, off, what time. Dead battery sensors, that's another report that basically shows you all the sensors that the plugin thinks are dead because it hasn't been because no sensors, no movement or motion has been sensed since the dead battery time that you specified in number of hours. So if the last motion, either on or off, is greater than this number of hours, then the plugin believes that sensor to be dead. So it just kind of helps you figure out which ones are dead and which ones you have to go replace batteries in. The support forum link will take you directly to the HomeSeer message board and open you right up into BLRadar. The about just shows you a little bit of information about this plugin. That's pretty much it. I hope this has been helpful. I know the first time you look at plugins, it's kind of overwhelming. So hopefully this helped to clear up a little bit. Okay, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.